Hello everyone, my name is Serafi and I'm happy to meet you all. And today we have the patch notes for Legends of Runeterra, patch 5.11 coming out tomorrow. Pretty exciting stuff. Let's go over the changes and what we can expect moving forward. New adventure, The Wrath of Zaun. Explore Piltover, the City of Progress in this brand new story adventure. Enjoy all new encounters, but be careful as you descend in the Undercity, as something terrifying lurks in the shadows. So this is going to be Warwick. I believe that the original Warwick adventure is going to be like a 1.5 based on what we saw on Twitter. And then there's going to be like a Nightmare 4.5 version. Cool. I like that. Assume that the 4.5 version is going to give like 40 Warwick fragments like the Fiddlesticks one did and the Yasuo and the Viego one did. So that's great. I'm looking forward to getting 40 free Warwick fragments. The world map campaigns have now come out, and we are now going to get 5 new adventures. Five. 5 new adventures with the teamwork power. And the teamwork power is very interesting. It gives you the ability to find other champions 1, 2, 3, and 6-star powers in the power pool. Remember that all 4-star powers can already be added to the power, can already be discovered through normal powers, and the 5th-star power, Mana Flow, is an existing epic power that anyone can get. So basically, you'll be able to get any champion's power randomly. To facilitate this, the rarity of most champions' 1-star powers has been changed to common. Okay, so your 1-star power is going to be a common power. Your 2-star power is going to be an epic power. Your 3-star power is going to be an epic power. Your 6-star power is going to be a legendary power. And then occasionally, you'll find rare powers that'll be the 4 stars. Or common, depending on the champion. So that's cool. That's really cool. So that's cool. That's really interesting. There are a few things I can think about. For example, Darius being able to give your units +4/+0 and overwhelm whenever you summon them. Garen, all your units get +2/+2 whenever they strike. Lilia, if you summon a unit without playing it, give it spirits. Just cool, interesting ideas. Could definitely be fun if you randomly, like, you're playing, I don't know, Yasuo, and you're not really recalling your own units, but then you get Ahri's 6-star, and now whenever you recall a unit, it strikes the enemy nexus. That could be funny. Weird synergies that show up when you're team working. So we have a 1.5-star, the Kraken Priestess, that's Alawi in Bilgewater. 2.5-star, the Emperor of Sands, Shurima, that is Azir. I am so happy that we finally have an Azir adventure. Azir deserves it. The Might of Demacia, 3.5 stars. The Might of Demacia, I believe, is Garen. I don't think that Garen is worth 3.5 stars. So they've never given Garen an improved power. His enemy power has always been, if you have the attack token, give your units +1/+0 this round. I think it's just really bad. So I assume that his ability is going to be something like round starts. If you have the attack token, allies get +1/+1 or +2/+2 or something like that. The Enlightened one, Ionia, 5.5 stars. That is Karma. I have no idea how they're going to make Karma 5.5. They have to give a really good area power, because Karma's power is both players start with 10 mana, and I don't care how dangerous you make Karma. Giving the opponent 10 mana just means that she's going to lose almost every time. And then the Star Forger, 6.5. They've given us multiple copies of Aurelian Soul is a 6.5, so that's completely fine. It'll be interesting to see Aurelian Soul without the legendary climb, or maybe they'll recycle the legendary climb for this. I'd be really interested to see a generic Aurelian Soul area. I kind of assume that since it's a 6.5 area, they're just going to do what they did before and just make it a bunch of champion fights, because it would feel weird to not have a bunch of champion fights in an Aurelian Soul area, but we'll see what they do. Here we go. A 4.5-star difficulty version of the Wrath of Zon adventure will also be available. Okay. The Legends of Arcane event campaign will be available through patch 5.12. So you got 2 months. Got 2 months to do all this. No problem. I'll probably do it in a week. But you got to play the game. I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be fun. If they're doing like rotating content, like they're going to just like, oh, you know, we have this teamwork stuff and we're going to use these. And then next, you know, in 2 months, we're going to cycle in like 6 new adventures. That's great for us because that means that we get more rewards. You know, one of the biggest ways that we get rewards is by new adventures being printed. Not only is that more content for us to enjoy, but it also means that we have the opportunity to play with new characters, and we also get to unlock new powers. And of course, you know, the higher level areas will usually give us legend points as well. And we have a lot of legend levels to grind now. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. All right, next up. New champion, Ambessa, the matriarch of Clan Madara, joins our TPOC roster with a full constellation, new followers, and enough tactical expertise to take on any challenge Runeterra has to offer. Ambessa's 1-star, military training. When an ally attacks, grant allies with the same name everywhere +1/+0. This is a rare power for some reason, even though they just said they were going to make everything common. Okay, so I guess they're not going... They don't intend for people to try and get military training as often. Fair enough. Reinforce the formation. Sorry. I should talk about military training. When an ally attacks, grant allies with the same name everywhere +1/+0. That's basically turning every card in your deck into Legion Marauder. Is that cool? Yes, Legion Marauder is a very cool card. I have built Legion Marauder deck. You know, Legion Marauder was one of the first cards that came out in the game. A lot of people have tried to make Legion Marauder work. You know, there's ways that you can recycle Legion Marauder with cards like, you know, there's like Iceborne Legacy in Freljord, which gives an ally and all allies that share its name +2/+2. There is, you can give it Deathless if you want to play Mordekaiser. And Mordekaiser is like a Noxus Shadow Isles character, so he does need like targets, and Legion Saboteur is a great target for his cards. I was kind of sad that Legion Saboteur wasn't in Mordekaiser's Path of Champions deck, to be honest. You can, you know, there's just so many different ways and different flavors of playing Legion Saboteur or Legion Marauder, because it's literally like, you know, how much can you grind? How much can you greed out of this ability? And just getting it on a power and then getting the card in the deck is just like, okay, I see what you're saying, right? I will play Legion Marauder. Don't you worry. I will definitely play Legion Marauder. I wasn't really sure what my next Noxian champion was going to be like for the 6-star. It's going to be Ambessa. I can guarantee that. Unless they give me LeBlanc before I get a Noxus Crystal again, it is going to be Ambessa. This is so cool. All right. Reinforce the formation. +1 starting mana. Start of the round, create a conscription in your hand. If you already have one, reduce its cost by 1. It's very similar to Lux's power, Lux Illuminated. Warwick also has this ability. We'll see what conscription does in a second. All right, military training 2. When an ally attacks, grant allies with the same name everywhere +1/+1. Okay, so the 3-star only gives you an extra health every time you attack, as opposed to just one attack. This is still a really good upgrade. Health is a lot better than attack. So let's say that you have 2 Legion Marauders out. Legion Marauder, for those of you that don't know, is a 3-mana 3/2 that says when this card attacks, give Legion Marauders everywhere +1/+1. So let's say you have 2 Legion Marauders on the board. You attack with both of them. The Legion Marauders will both trigger, so they become 5/4s. Then your military training triggers. So they become 7/6s. And now every time that you play a Legion Marauder after this, it becomes a 7/6. So now you might say, well, does Ambessa have any way to recycle Legion Marauder in her deck? No. That's up to you. But that's the cool part. Like I said, there's a ton of different ways. You can play like counterfeit production. You can play Echoes cards, like the Practical Perfectionist. You know, you can play Recall with Ari in Ionia. I think every region has a way to like recycle cards. So This is like the perfect deck and the perfect power to put into a draft format. Because they're basically saying, we've given you all of this synergy. Now go find the cards to make it work. And I take that challenge and I run with it. I'm going to have like the best of Ambessa video where I'm just like, here's all the cool ways that I figured out how to make Legion Marauder huge. And you'll see. Okay. All right. So let's not skip ahead too much. Let me pull up Ambessa's cards. Conscription. 4 mana, slow spell. Summon an exact copy of an allied follower. Oh, I apologize. I was like, no, she doesn't have any ways to copy cards. She does. Okay. So +1 starting mana, create a conscription in hand. So you have to spend 4 mana every round, but you can basically get a free Legion Marauder every single turn. Now, you can't, like, it's not always going to be Legion Marauder, right? Sometimes you'll have to copy Ambessa, sometimes you'll have to copy other cards, but every card is Legion Marauder. Yes, Legion Marauder grows twice as fast as your other cards, but your other cards is still growing. So Conscription is always going to be a good card. The fact that it's a slow spell kind of sucks, but otherwise, fantastic. I hope that I hope that one of her star powers is, like, in her constellation, is to make Conscription burst speed. Conscription has stopwatch would be like a great buff for her. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at Ambessa herself, because why not? Ambessa, 4 mana, 5/3. Each round, the first time I kill an enemy, create a Midnight Raid in hand. Midnight Raid is a 0 mana spell that says choose an ally. It starts a free attack. Her level up requirement is that you've attacked 5 times. And so that is not the same as Misfortune or Vain or... not the same as Misfortune, not the same as Vain, because it's not the character seeing that the attacks have happened. Ambessa only cares about whether you, the player, have attacked 5 times. So you don't have to abuse Scout or do anything weird like that. You can literally slam Ambessa down on like turn 7, and if you've attacked 5 times, she's just going to immediately level up. Her level up is a 4 mana 6/4 with each round, the first time I kill an enemy, rally. That's really good. So before she had the ability to get an extra attack, now she has the ability to just give everybody an extra attack. And more importantly, when you start a free attack, you can't challenge. So the fact that she rallies and her leveled up form means that you could actually use her challenger, which is nice. Other cards in Ambessa's deck. Blade Squire. 1 mana 2/1, Last Breath, Reforge. Reforge is a mechanic for Riven. It gives you one of the 3 pieces of the blade in order. If you've already reforged, then you get other copies. One of them gives you +2/+0 until the end of the turn. One of them gives you quick attack until the end of the turn, and the last one gives you overwhelm until the end of the turn. If you reforge all 3 times, if you play all 3 pieces of the blade, then you create Blade of the Exiled in your hand. And Blade of the Exiled is a 1 mana spell, slow spell, that gives a unit +2/+0, quick attack, and overwhelm permanently. So Blade Squire is the only reforged card in the deck, but it is, if you copy it, it is going to give you, like, power. It's a very useful way for you to get overwhelm in a deck that does not have overwhelm, and just a, solid 1-drop Noxus card. Probably the card that they're, like, the most... Because Noxus cards are weird. There are a lot of aggressive Noxus cards, but a lot of them, especially the 1-drops, are not cards that you want people to be copying. One of the reasons that Swain is so powerful is that his Legion Saboteur has Shadow Totem on it for some stupid reason, and that's insane. Like, the 1 mana 2/1 that copies itself and has a skill that scales with Swain's 3-star is, like, the best card in his deck by far. So Blade Squire is suitably aggressive. It has an interesting synergy with Conscription, but it's not broken. Good card. Cutting Sweep. 1 mana fast spell, stun an enemy, create a Sundering Slam in hand. If you were wondering what Sundering Slam does, so am I. They didn't tell us. But it's Guile, but it's fast. that's pretty good. Previously, we had like Tempest, Steel Tempest, which can only be used on attacking units, or Wallop, which did 1 damage, but it was 3 mana. This is 1 mana, and it's a fast spell. So 1 mana fast spell that stuns, that's more in line with Path of Champions. You couldn't print this in PvP. This would be like, if this card was in PvP, every Noxus deck would run it, and Noxus would be like one of the best aggro areas. And Noxus is already like really good at aggro, don't get me wrong. But one of the main things that aggro needs is to prevent people from blocking with very little investment. That's why the Nightfall spell that makes it so 2 units can't block costs 5, specifically so that aggro can't play it as well as they should. So Cunning Sweep is just like 1 mana, now you can't block, also I'm going to crush you. That's a little absurd. And of course, yes, Noxus had Guile to begin with, but now they have Guile and Cunning Sweep. So yeah, if you put this in PvP, people would just abuse it. It's a good card. I'm looking forward to abusing it. Legion Drummer, 2 mana, 3/2 with quick attack. Support, give my support ally quick attack this round. This is great. Good card. She... Actually, hold on. 1 second, guys. Let me... I was looking for conscription specifically. Let me pull up the one that has, like, the item cards. I'm sorry. Okay. So, Blade Squire with Serrated Dirk. Fearsome is bad. Fearsome is terrible now that we have Deadly in the game and we get Deadly content every single week. Fearsome means nothing. Units have lots of health. They have lots of attack. You are almost never going to see Fearsome matter. So, it is very bad for an item card to just get Fearsome. I'm not saying that Fearsome as a keyword needs to be phased out. It doesn't. Fiddlesticks has proven that Fearsome can be a useful tool if you are put it in the right deck and you have a lot of synergy. But as an item card that gets randomly attached to decks that have no synergy with it, it's terrible. At the very least, Coral Crush Gauntlets gives +1 attack, which is useful to specifically 2 attack units so that they can block Fearsome. That's what a lot of people try and argue makes Caitlyn's Coral Crush Gauntlet tolerable. And I can see the argument. But Serrated Dirk does not give any stat boosts at all. It's just Fearsome. It's bad. This should not be in the game anymore. They should stop printing cards that have Serrated Dirk. Cunning Sweep. Cunning Sweep gets Predict. Predict is fine. This is a 1 mana spell. You don't want to give it mana cost reduction. You don't want to invoke randomly in Noxus. That doesn't make any sense. So yeah, this is fine. Predict is okay. Legion Drummer gets Quick Attack. That's excellent. So a 2 mana, 3/2 with Quick Attack that gives its support ally Quick Attack, and then you just conscript and you have a bunch of Quick Attack units. It's pretty good. Especially with the buff, like the effect that gives your units +1/+1 whenever they attack wherever they are. That's really strong with Quick Attack specifically. Legion Grenadier, we can't see the items here, but I believe that they were shown in the video, and it looks like that it's it looks like it is Giant's Belt and Great Club. So Legion Grenadier, 2 mana, 3/4 with Overwhelm and Last Breath, deal 1 to the enemy nexus. That's fine. A card that can clone itself that has a Last Breath that deals damage to the enemy nexus is fine. You just play a bunch of them, they get overwhelmed, they become a problem, and if your opponent removes them, then they take damage anyway. Solid plan. Rictus, this is a new card. It is a follower. A 2 mana. I believe it's a 2/2. And it has attack, stun the weakest back row enemy. And its item cards, I believe, are Quick Strike Blade, so it starts a free attack when it's summoned, and Locket of the Iron Solari, so it has Barrier, which is really funny. So you just play it, he attacks, he gives himself +1/+1, and then he also stuns the unit, and then he has Barrier, so if he gets blocked, whatever. And then he attacks again, because you play this on your turn, you get a free attack, then you attack again. Then he's going to get another +1/+1, and then he's also going to stun another unit, and now you're attacking with a bunch of units, and 2 of your opponent's units have been stunned. One of them has probably taken 3 damage by blocking. Your opponent doesn't have the resources to protect themselves. So Rictus is like a really, really good card. All right, we have Legion Marauder. I've already explained what Legion Marauder does and why it's beneficial to the deck, but it gets Great Club. Excellent. This card has Overwhelm. You don't need to invest any relics in Overwhelm. Your main monster has Overwhelm. Fantastic. Ambessa herself. Then we have Public Execution. Public Execution is a 6-mana spell that says choose... I think it's choose an ally. I'm sorry. Let me pull this back up real quick. Public Execution. An ally strikes an enemy. If the enemy dies, rally. That's hilarious. One of the main things that people are complaining about is that in the video, this was shown to have Nasus' Siphoning Strike as its animation, which is super lazy, but other people were saying like it's better than not having an animation at all, which I agree with. So, all right. The item card is Tear the Goddess, so it goes from being 6 mana to being 4 mana. 4 mana is the cost of Lucian's Relentless Pursuit, and Relentless Pursuit is a slow spell that rallies. So a slow spell that has you strike an enemy and then you rally is really, really good. Let's not kid ourselves. That's a very good card. And then Cato the Arm. Cato the Arm is a 5 mana. What is it? A 5/4. I want to say 5 mana 5/4 with support. Give my support ally +3/+0 and Overwhelm this round. And it has Challenger, so it can choose which one it blocks, so that he can always have safe attacks when he attacks with another unit. And then, of course, if you give one of your units Overwhelm, and then it gets +1/+1 for every time that you've attacked, then that's really good. So, yeah. Ambessa's cards look fantastic. Now let's take a look at the rest of the constellation. Phalanx. When you target an ally, give it Barrier this round. This is important for the Midnight Raid that Ambessa creates. And then you can also, if you conscription, then the Phalanx is going to trigger, and conscription summons an exact copy of the unit that you target. So you play conscription, you give the unit Barrier, then you summon a copy of it with Barrier, and then both of them attack, and then you both get +2/+2. So a very, very high synergy with the 2-star Phalanx. You have the Reforge cards that you get off of your Blade of Recruit that also target, and then you have the Public Execution as well. So there's a lot of cards that cause targeting. I'm sure that the Sundering Strike card that we're going to get off of the stun spell will also target an ally. So Phalanx is huge. This is like a really good power. I was hoping for Domination, but this is good enough. Mana flow as normal. And then her 6-star, Out of My Way. When you attack with 10 power, kill the strongest back row enemy. And that's like as many times as you want per turn. So that's insane. Someone said that this is basically like having a leveled Master Yi on your board all the time, which is, that's pretty good. Master Yi's level 2 is really strong, so yeah. This is what Ambessa looks like. Public Execution is apparently Ambessa's champion spell as well. There's Conscription. Rictus is a 2-mana 2/2. Oh, do we know what Sundering Slam is? Oh, nice. Sundering Slam, 3-mana slow spell. Stun an enemy. If it's already stunned, deal 6 to it instead. That's funny. So you can either pay 4 mana to stun 2 enemies, or 4 mana to stun an enemy and then deal 6 to it, which is fine. All right, next up we have Warwick. Warwick enters our TPOC with a full constellation of new followers. None who spill blood will be able to escape him. Let me scroll down here for a second. New cards. Warwick. Blood Hunt. they showed the regular Blood Hunt to fill space. There are no followers, so that is awkward. Let's take a look at what this says here. Warwick enters our TPOC roster with a full constellation and new followers. So this is a lie. And that raises a lot of questions. And a lot of people have taken notice of this. So it's one thing for them to say that, you know, we've lost some cash. You know, we need to start recouping our losses. We can't spend so much anymore. So we're going to cut back on level up animations. We're not going to pay for voice acting. We're not going to write lore. And we're not going to develop new support cards. And we're stopping PvP content. Like, there's been a lot of changes to Legends of Runeterra since April. Which is all fair. That's all fine. Okay? I can accept a lot of things. But it really raises a question of what led to this. What is the situation here? I understand that probably because they have to translate the patch notes into so many different languages, they probably wrote the background, the skeleton for these patch notes like months ago. Probably. They probably wrote this back in June, I'm guessing. And since then, they've clearly made a determination that they weren't going to create any new followers. That's fine. All of that is fair. But in the time frame since they've done that, no one has come back to this patch notes and said we need to change this. And more importantly, you can say whatever you want about the lead up, about the situation that they're in, and about the decisions they have to make. There is still a decision that had to have been made the day before these patch notes came out, where someone came and proofread this and said, this is false. There is an actual, obvious, legitimate misrepresentation in our patch notes whose sole purpose is to promote our content and inform. And that person had to have taken that to someone. And whoever was in charge had to say, it is not worth the effort to try and correct this. Now, you could say that this is that this is like speaks highly of Riot's integrity, right? The idea that they could have potentially like really easily have corrected this in the English patch notes only. Because let's face it, the majority of their audience is probably English speaking. And they could have said, okay, we can't possibly fix these patch notes in for every language. That's why we wrote these like 4 months ago. But we could at least fix it in English. And they chose not to. You could say that's noble because they don't want to give different information to different people based on preferential language or whatever. Or you could also say that that's a decision that they made. Like, we can't take 4 minutes to just, like, not even, like, you don't even have to say anything. You could literally just hit the delete key. Warwick enters our TPOC roster with a full constellation. Full stop. That's all you had to do. For just this one patch notes, for the English one. And they chose not to do even that. And that speaks volumes to me. Like, whoever's in charge is just like, look, they're already going to hate this patch. It doesn't matter. It's not worth the hours or the time that we would spend to try and make this look any better. Because it's not. They know it's not good. So that is depressing. You know, a lot of people have said that the champion reveal trailer is looking depressing, that the lack of level up looks depressing, that Ambessa's voice actress not being recruited is depressing. No, this is something else. This is like on a whole other level. Wow. Okay. Anyway, sorry for dragging on there. Alright, star power, eternal hunger. Allies have +1/+0 for every 7 times you dealt damage this game. Interesting. So, you want to deal damage in multiple instances. That's very Piltover and Zonian, and it gives all of your allies extra attack, and that's all it does. Okay. You know, that's aggro. But the question is, how fast does it ramp up, really? Well, let's see. Primal Howl, +1 starting mana. Round start, create a Blood Hunt in your hand, or if you already have one, reduce its cost by 1. Blood Hunt is... 3-minute fast spell, deal 1 to a unit or the Nexus, then deal 1 to another. Then grant all damaged enemies vulnerable. That's an interesting idea. So you get to deal 1 damage to 2 units, or 1 to the 1 unit, 1 to the Nexus. And then you also make everyone that's damaged on your opponent's board vulnerable. Now, it was asked of Riot why they didn't include Quick Attack in their Warwick's deck and kit, and they said that it felt too powerful. It felt that like he didn't need it, which I guess is fair if you are playing his Relic or the Beast Within. If Warwick's units all have Overwhelm, I can imagine that Quick Attack isn't going to feel too good. But if they don't have Overwhelm, because you're not spending money on an Epic Relic, I'm worried that this is not going to be that strong. We'll have to see. Eternal Hunger 2. Allies have +1/+0 for every 5 times you've dealt damage this game. So Eternal Hunger increases twice, and it's just based on, like, you need fewer damage deals to proc the effect. That's fine. I feel like the first power, the plus the 1-star, really feels like it's not much at all. Because, you know, like, the 1-star is supposed to basically be, like, you know, this is how you level the champion. Like, you know, usually you're going to have 1-star, maybe the 2-star for, like, the first few areas. Maybe when you get to, like, level 20 or level 30, that's when you get your third star, usually. But I feel like you can end the game in 7 instances of damage. So, I think there will legitimately be, like, entire fights where the 1-star doesn't proc at all. Which is unfortunate, to be honest. I understand the idea of, like, scaling. Definitely get that. But I feel like they could have done more to make the first step a little bit better. Even if they wanted to make sure the last step didn't feel too powerful. I don't know. When you pray, when an enemy with 2 health is summoned, I deal 1 to it. This is a new rare power. This is a cool idea. It's going to make it very easy for Warwick to level up. We'll talk about Warwick in just a second. So yeah, I like this a lot. And then for the 3rd star, for the 6-star, for some reason, they decided to make the 6-star an upgrade of the 3rd star, which I don't think they've ever done before. So Eternal Hunger 3. Allies have +1/+0 for every 3 times you've dealt damage this game. When a unit kills an ally, or when an ally kills a unit, heal it fully and grant it +0/+3 in impact. I think this is a mistake. In every other character, they have demonstrated that they think that 3 stars is appropriate for the power level of the 1st star to reach. I feel like requiring you to go all the way to champion, all the way to his 6-star to get the intended benefit out of Eternal Hunger 1 is too much. I feel like they could just make this, when an ally kills a unit, heal it fully, grant it +0/+3 in impact, and then they could, for the 1-star, have it be allies have +1/+0 for every 5 times you've dealt damage this game, and the 3-star, allies have +1/+0 for every 3 times you dealt damage this game. I feel like that would be a better balance of the situation, but what do I know? I guess. Alright. Warwick. Warwick is a 3-mana 4/3 dog. Play, I strike a damaged enemy. It has been shown in the video that this is not a skill. So, it's a play effect and not a when I'm summoned effect, specifically so that you can choose the target. But it's not a skill, therefore it works on units that have Spell Shield. That's pretty nice. Level up requirement. You've dealt damage 12 different times this game. Very excellent. And then his leveled up form is a 3-mana 5/4 with Quick Attack. Quick Attack is an interesting choice for Warwick. It's very powerful. Does not feel very thematic. I guess you could say that Warwick's suppression ability is Quick Attack, like him just leaping on someone and tearing them to shreds before they can do anything. I guess, but that's, I mean, okay. He does get like 80% attack speed against low health enemies when he's chasing them. I don't know. Quick Attack is a marksman effect. Like it's specifically like your like quick attack has always felt like reach to me. Like I get this benefit, but only when I'm the one attacking, specifically because I outrange you. I guess you could argue that a melee character being so fast that they can blindside you is also outranging you. From a gameplay perspective, this is perfectly fine. From a flavor perspective, it feels weird. I'll say that. Moving on. Card's fine. Okay. They're not going to show us Warwick's decks, so let me do that real quick. Warwick's cards are Jury Rig with Invoke, which is the 1-mana spell that's when I'm played or discarded, summon a 1/1. Boomcrow Rookie with Philosopher's Stone. Boomcrow Rookie is a 2-mana 1/3 with attack, deal 2 to the enemy nexus. That is a 2 instances of damage at the same attack. Clump of Wumps with 2 item cards that we don't know. Get Excited, that's 3 mana to discard a card and deal 3 damage to a target. It has Charging Sigil +1, so it'll deal 4 damage. Sunk Dredger with Locket of the Iron Solari. Sunk Dredger is 3 mana, 4/3, play, discard a card to draw 1. Locket of the Iron Solari gives it barrier. Used Cask Salesman with 2 items. Used Cask Salesman is when I'm summoned, summon 2 Caustic Casts. Caustic Cast is a 0 mana, 0/1 ephemeral unit with Last Breath. I deal 1 to both enemy nexuses. The main thing that Used Cast Salesman does is because you can buff the attack of all your units, Used Cast Salesman is 3 units for 3 mana. So you get 3 uses of the Warwick power. That makes Used Cast Salesman essentially like Dr. Boom for 3 mana. If you've ever played Hearthstone, you know what Dr. Boom is. So that's an interesting idea. And it definitely feels like Used Cast Salesman will probably be the best card in Warwick's deck, especially if one of the 2 item cards that it gets that we don't know yet is either Phage for +2/+2 or Savage Shield for +1/+3, which I think they will be. So, yeah, I think Used Cast Salesman is probably the best card in the deck. Caustic Riff, which is 4 mana, deal 1 to all enemies, and flow I cost 2 less. Caustic Riff is, what does it have? Battle Banner. Allies have +1/+1 this round. And then lastly, Chempunk Shredder. 5 mana, 5/2, play, deal 1 to all enemies. So that damages all enemies, so that all enemies are damaged, so that you can give them all vulnerable with Blood Hunt. Ancient Coin as the item card, so it's a 4 mana, 4/2 that burns the whole board. It's an interesting idea. I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice. I work at a call center, so I'm about out today. This is fine. Warwick got no new cards except for his own champion spell and his own card, and his mechanic is not nearly as interesting as Ambessa's is. His power is fine. I'm disappointed with the card. I feel like Warwick definitely needs regeneration or lifesteal. The 6-star power healing him to full and giving him +0/+3 is not acceptable. The card itself should represent the champion's identity without needing powers to do so. But that's fine. New Relics. Cruel Experiments. Epic power. When you play an ally with at least 2 health, deal 1 damage to it, then grant it Overwhelm and Impact. Okay. The main drawback of Cruel Experiments for Warwick is that you do not play the Caustic Casts. So, because Used Cast Salesman is going to be the best card in the deck, Cruel Experiments will probably not be that good. You'll probably want to play Beast Within instead because it gives your Caustic Casts Overwhelm as well. Then the Ambessa one is Twin Drakenhounds. Epic Relic, the unit has Overwhelm, and then attack. Whenever you attack, deal 2 to the enemy nexus. If the attacker has already dealt attack this round, deal 2 to all enemies as well. So obviously, Ambessa attacks twice a lot. That's really, really good. Being able to burn the entire enemy board for 2 damage is great. It gets rid of all the barriers. It gets rid of all the tokens. But I mean, Ambessa can probably make good use of this. Vayne could also probably use this very well. Misfortune can potentially do good things with this, especially since I assume both of these are skills. So Misfortune Misfortune getting Overwhelm is great because that means that if you You can't just chump block Misfortune anymore. That's why she gets Overwhelm as a leveled up condition. And then the second thing is, if you have Misfortune 6-star, then this applies, her buff to attacking skills applies to this. So yeah, this is going to be huge on MF, probably decent on Jhin. It's interesting on Annie. I don't know it's like the best ability on Annie, but it will definitely make Annie a lot better at leveling up. And then it's going to be absolutely crazy on Vayne, and decent on Ambessa. So, Cruel Experiments is probably going to be like Tom Kench mostly. I mean, if you get it, you will play it on Tom Kench, and it will be the best Tom Kench power ever. But as far as Warwick, no, I don't think so. All right. Bundles. You can spend money if you want to. Change list. Okay. New stuff. Voidling Shell has been removed. So, for those of you that don't know how this bug works, Voidling Shell has been bugged for like 8 patches. What it does is, while the card that has Voidling Shell on it is in your hand, it gets a random keyword every round. And the problem is, first of all, Voidling Shell can roll keywords that the unit already has. For example, if you are playing Thresh, and Thresh has Challenger, and Thresh gets the Voidling Shell, then there are some rounds where Voidling Shell will roll Challenger, and then you just don't want to play it because you're losing the value, right? So naturally, you would want to hold that card in your hand an extra turn. That already feels kind of bad, like being discouraged from playing a card because the item card is fighting against you. That feels bad. But more importantly, the way that Voidling Shell was coded to work, whenever Voidling Shell, whenever it's the start of the round, Voidling Shell fixes itself by removing all instances of the keyword it granted the previous round. All of them. That means that if you played Thresh the next round, and the Voidling Shell gave it Spirit instead, Thresh would come down with Spirit, but Thresh would not have Challenger. Not just from the like the previous round, he wouldn't have Challenger from the card text. And that drove everyone crazy. There were so many posts on Reddit, people saying, never pick Voidling Shell. It's awful. Which is kind of unfortunate because it's really good for Lux, and they had to try and buff this some way. So, Lux Illuminated has Lumino Sprite, and Lumino Sprite's actually really cool with Voidling Shell, because Lumino Sprite has an ability to give its keywords to whoever it supports. So it was kind of cool to like sit on Voidling Shell and see what you could get. And since the Lumino Sprite didn't have any keywords of its own, it was okay, because you never had like a risk. But so to compensate for this, they have changed the Voidling Shell that Lumino Sprites is getting to Bright Staff, which gives it Spirit, which is okay, I guess. I mean, yeah, that's more of like in line with what Lux's deck is wanting to do. It definitely cuts down on Lux's versatility, though. It makes her games better, but more boring. So, how do we deal with this? Like, essentially, Riot is giving up. They have tried to fix this bug for multiple patches now, and they're just like, you know what? We can't figure out how to do this. We can't figure out how to stop Voidling Shell from breaking the game while keeping it in the game, so we're just removing it. Fair enough. So, I mean, that's kind of sad, but it's not too disruptive. There was only one. It's surprising. Being an item card, there was only one deck in the entire POC game that had it on them, which is kind of funny. So they didn't really hurt too much. I'm sure that Lux Illuminated players will get over the fact that they can't get lifesteal anymore. But yeah. Big thing. Big Guns has been removed from the Emporium, and instead Beast Within will be available. I'm going to buy that. 100%. The Beast Within is power, all your units have Overwhelm, and then also if they have a subtype, they get +1/+1. That's great for Nico, because all of her cards have a subtype. It's great for Pike, because all of his cards have a subtype of Lurker. It's good for Garen, because a lot of his cards are Elites. It's good for Elise, because all her cards are Spiders. It's great for, I mean, any deck that wants Overwhelm, which is basically every deck. So the ability to just all my units have overwhelm without me doing anything. Is just too good to pass up. So yeah, I'm definitely going to get this. Bug fixes. Fixed an issue where completing the final region of the Ancient Fear did not grant a Runeterran Gold Star Vessel. Excellent. I have held off on completing Fiddlesticks' area because the last area Fiddlesticks gave nothing but legend points. I'm glad they're fixing this. Fixed an issue where the game crashed when Fiddlesticks would level up when played into a full back row containing a husk or a sigil of the storm. Yeah, yeah, that was annoying. Fixed an issue where nightmare traps did not count as trap triggers. Good. I'm glad that this is fixed because this was very important. So, for example, now if you have Caitlyn and Caitlyn says that your traps, you know, trigger 3 times or whatever. Oh no! It wasn't Caitlyn. It was the other one. Teemo, the Teemo big guy, the 5-drop. Your traps trigger twice. Yeah, that card. That will now work. Fixed an issue where the adventure panel for world adventures could open when entering the Path of Champions with the Nightmare Lair active. Okay. Fixed an issue where the game crashed when purchasing the Battle Pass from the featured tab store of the world map. Okay. Fixed an issue where the weekly adventure duration banner covered the difficulty icon map for the adventure. Oh my gosh. The weekly adventure banners suck. So I'm so glad that they're fixing that. Fixed an issue where Reap was not a choice card. I did not know Reap was supposed to be a choice card, so that's going to be very helpful. Fixed an issue where prismatic chests were not properly displayed when claiming rewards in the world map. Fixed an issue where the adventure journals displayed incorrect adventure unlock requirements. Ooh. Is that happening? I don't use the adventure journal, so I've never seen that. Fixed an issue where Yumi's Star of Discovery was not applied to acquired 1-cost Poros when her Star of Wonder is also unlocked. That... I'm so glad that I never leveled Yumi because that would have really pissed me off if I saw that. So cool, thank you, Riot. Now when I go play Yumi and I get the Star of Discovery that gives all my Poros a special item card, it will apply to all those Poros. So if I go to the Poro slot and I stock up on 1-cost Poros for the memes, I will get what I want. Fixed an issue where the game would hang. I love that. The game would hang. That is exactly what happened. You just sat there and waited, and then if you tried to close the game, it counted as a loss. When an opponent drew a card with nightmares and flash bombs while the Hextech rifle was equipped. So I assume that what was happening is that the Hextech rifle would trigger and it would say, "Hold on, we need to return all traps on this card into the deck." And the Nightmare would say, "No, I need to go on the board." And the Hextech Rifle says, No. Trust me, you need to go back into the deck." And the Nightmare would say, No. I need to go on the board. I don't need there to be a target. The Hextech Rifle say, "But there's no units for you to hit." And the Nightmare saying, No, I don't need to hit any units. And the two of them were just very funny. Yes, so when you have the situation where you have an interaction where the code simply does not understand itself. Because machines are very dumb. I say this all the time. If you don't know anything about programming, when you speak to a computer, you have to speak very, very, plainly. You can't use any euphemisms when you're talking in machine language. You have to say exactly what things do, exactly when they do them, and nothing else. And the more that you mess things up, the more vague you get, the more opportunities there are for mix-ups, which is why cracking bugs takes so long, because essentially you have to go through and find the places where people have not been clear enough and then clarify. That is what bug fixing is. So yeah, I'm glad that this got fixed. I can understand why it took this long, to be honest. I was actually kind of thinking that this would never get fixed, like the Nasus bug. So, cool. Anyway, there you go, guys. That's the patch notes. Let's look forward to the patch tomorrow. My name is Serafi, and I was thrilled to have all of you with it.